Very good. Kev,
Good.
welcome, mate.
How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
My pleasure, man.
You've been busy, mate, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been flat out recently.
Yeah, you've been busy. For those people that don't know who you are, you're a professional bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you take me back, mate? Take me back to how it all started. So how did you initially get into the world of bodybuilding?
Well, I've only kind of not recently, sorry. In the actual world of bodybuilding, I would say, well, I did my first competition in 2019 when I was 31. So, but I've always been a fan of like bodybuilding. So I've been training like since I was like 18, 19, but like not bodybuilding specific training, just like going to the gym, training hard. But yeah, actually like training specifically for bodybuilding was like, yeah, from 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've always been a huge fan of it.
Yeah. Was there anybody in particular that you sort of looked up to, like Tom Platz, Schwarzenegger, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath?
Well, when I initially got into it, it was kind of like, the first, like, I was the first bodybuilding DVD I watched was the Battle for the Olympia in 2006. So, and that was like Jay Cutler, Dexter Jackson, Ronnie Coleman, Johnny Jackson, like, yeah, that era. But I suppose when I first like took liking to someone, it was actually like Kai Green, to be fair.
Yeah.
So that era, like Kai Green, Phil Heath, Sean Roden. Sean Roden's one of my like all-time favorites. Dexter Jackson's like another all-time favorite.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was Kai Green's kind of like more in-depth thoughtfulness of bodybuilding rather than just going in the gym with grunt and like just throwing weights around.
Yeah. Did you ever go to the Mr. Olympia? Have you been?
No, I've never been.
No, man, you should go.
Yeah, it's something that's on
Yeah.
the bucket list.
It's amazing. I've been there 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 times.
Like what years?
So 2010, 11, and 12.
Oh, so you would have seen like prime Phil Heath.
Yep. So 2010 was the year Jay Cutler won, but I think it was 2011 was the first year that Phil won, I think. Yeah. But you know what too, man? Some of the athletes, some of the fans look like athletes. I thought some of the fans were going to jump up on stage too. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. And you competed in the Tampa, Florida last year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Tampa and Texas last year.
Yep. And how did you go? What was the outcome?
I got 4th at the Tampa show, so it was like my pro debut, and I got 5th in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many competitors in total?
I think there was maybe like, I'd say like anywhere between 15 to 20 at Tampa, and there might have been like maybe 20 to 25 at Texas. Texas was a huge show.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I was actually, in fact, I was more proud of getting 5th in Texas than I was of getting 4th in Tampa.
Yes. Yeah.
Happy with my overall package in Texas too.
Yeah. And I can imagine too, Cam, like the level of competition would be pretty surreal. I mean, but we've got some talent over here too, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And what about throughout Australia? So you've done a few shows. Which shows have you or federations have you competed in?
I've only ever done IFBB.
Just IFBB, yep.
And my first show was the 2019. And that season I won the national novice, and I got 3rd in the under 80 class.
Wow.
At the nationals. And then my second season was 2022, and then I won the under 80s in Queensland, won the overall in Queensland, and then I won the under 80s at the nationals and the overall and pro card.
That's amazing.
Nationals. So.
Yeah. And you were saying off camera too, so normally you do train with people, but sometimes you will train by yourself as well.
Yeah.
Throughout bodybuilding, you've obviously learned so many training methodologies and what works for you. But run me through your kind of off-season workout. Like how does that, like how many calories do you normally sit at off-season?
This recent off season, like it's been the lowest peak calories, only because like I'm not working a full-time job anymore. Well, I do have a full-time job, but it's not a physical job.
Yeah.
I went from being an electrician doing those preps in 2019, 2020, 22. So like, it's just your output's a lot higher.
Right.
You need more calories. And that was a lot harder to even just fit in during the day while you're trying to work and stuff. But so yeah, this peak off season only got to around 4,000, just over 4,000. And previous years has been like 4,700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then leading up to comp, what's your calorie intake like once you're in a calorie deficit? What are you sort of sitting down till the time you get to peak week?
At the moment, I'm at 2,730.
Yep.
So I've done a pretty aggressive cut straight off the bat. That's how my coach likes it. That's how I like it. Just try and do a bunch of hard work at the start and get ahead.
Yes.
So but yeah, I mean last year I think last year was only like 2,500 calories was the lowest. Right? 24, 2,500.
Yeah.
So.
And what about cheat meals? Did your coach let you have cheat meals? Nothing like that?
That one.
Do you get cravings or anything?
No.
No.
The longer I've been doing it, the less cravings I get.
That's good.
And I think the first two preps, 2019, 22, you're kind of new to it. You're still trying to understand it. You're trying to, so you can be more food focused then. Like, oh, I'm missing out on this. I'm missing out on that. I can't wait to have this. Can't wait to have that. But now it's just like I'm more goal focused.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't give a flying fuck about food because the goal is way bigger than food.
Yes.
So
Yeah. And specifically, like obviously a high protein diet, carbs are sort of be around the same. Fats, like what's your ratio of carbs, fats, and protein?
At the minute, protein's 270 grams, carbs is 300, and fats is 50. So low carbs.
Yeah. And then breakfast all the way through to lunch, dinner. What's your rough dietary intake for those meals?
I just run off like roughly 50 grams of protein per meal, 50 for 5. Then that lands me around 270. And I'll have 5 meals throughout the day.
Yeah. And then is it protein shake in the morning with oats, or what's your typical day?
In the morning, I'll typically have it'll just be like veggies, fruit, and protein. Like, so veggies, fruit, and like chicken breast.
Yep.
So like really low carb, low fat. And then my other meals throughout the day, I'll have like a pretty big hit of carbs pre-training. And then I'll have some moderate carbs after training. And then I like to have a good, decent meal before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Keep me asleep and keep me resting.
Yeah. And I can imagine too, like you're training incredibly hard as well, mate. Like I've seen photos of you, your leg development is looking phenomenal. Was this a specific area that you focused on, for the last few months? Was your leg development?
No.
No? Just
my legs have been getting the least amount of work.
Really?
In the past year.
Yeah.
They seem to just respond really well. So it's kind of like my training split's very individualized to me.
Yes.
So
and you'll hit a body part every 5 days, 6 days, or
I'm hitting chest. My whole upper body's getting hit twice a week.
Yep.
And lower body once a week.
Yes. Yeah, that's impressive, mate. Yeah. And what was your upbringing like? So obviously before you started bodybuilding, what was it like for you growing up?
I was had a very wholesome upbringing. No, not really much drama or stressful situations. It was kind of just a pretty wholesome upbringing. And mum and dad, younger brother. So
the
younger brother had autism, or has autism. Sorry, but he's that had its challenges growing up, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, and you were quite sporty sort of growing up. Like you played a bit of sport. You mentioned soccer just off camera. You obviously tried different things.
I took an interest in soccer when I was in primary school, and then kind of just one season just decided not to do it again, and got into skateboarding. Then I was kind of that skateboarder kid.
Yeah.
You wouldn't pick it, right?
Yeah.
I was like, couldn't wait to get home and get to the skate park and go for one.
Yes. And what was the first time that you stepped into the gym? What was that experience like for you? Was it a bit, I don't know what I'm doing? And
it was just, what actually happened is a friend of mine invited me to come with him because he was doing a bit of I suppose he was actually seeing a counselor, to be fair. And they're like, well, why don't you go to the gym, try and get some aggression out in the gym. He had some anger management problems. And so he was doing that. He's like, hey, why don't you come with me and try it out? And I just took a real big liking to it.
Yeah. Because I imagine too, coming into, bodybuilding, it can be quite daunting, a little bit intimidating, especially if you don't know what you're doing as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And it's good too. What would be some advice that you give to, say, a younger teen that's looking to get into the gym? Should he find a mentor? Should he just learn online? What should he do?
Well, it's a completely different time now. So there's plenty of mentors. Like I would definitely dive straight into to getting the proper guidance earlier on, as early as you can.
Yep.
Because I spent years and years in the gym. This was before there was information was so readily available. I spent years potentially wasting a lot of time because I was just going to the gym, training hard, probably overdoing it. I was overdoing it, like doing drop sets and stuff on every exercise, and just going in doing a full chest day with like 6, 7 exercises, thinking that's good. And then I was well under eating. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely recommend if you can get onto a mentor, just start getting it right from the start.
Yeah. And with obviously everything that's been happening with you, mate, what's been a defining moment that inspired you to pursue this path professionally?
Um, that's an interesting one because this is, I suppose, like the defining moment that threw me into it was winning my pro card.
Yes.
I think that just means you're in it, right? But that was never like the goal. I just love training, love bodybuilding, and I wanted to compete. I won the novice the first year, and then got third in the under 80s that year. So I was real salty about that. And
Yeah.
then just so my goal was just to win the under 80s at the in the next time I competed.
Yeah.
Just to win the national under 80s, and then end up happening to win my pro card. Then. So,
Amazing.
like
Yeah.
that wasn't that like winning my pro card wasn't something I was gunning for. I'm like, oh, I need to win my pro card. Like a lot of people are like that. So that wasn't my goal. So
Yeah.
that was a defining moment. I just got thrown into it, and then I'd say as of late, it definitely would be competing in America last year.
Yes.
That as soon as I got off stage in Texas,
Hmm.
I my whole mindset changed from since then on. So
Yeah.
it was like it was kind of like me just fully committing now. So whereas before, like you roll through an off season, like missing meals or like missing training, maybe going out a bit more than you should, because like I never really thought I belonged, I guess. So
Yeah.
um, like it's competing last year, just like it's when I started believing in myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were there ever any, low moments? Like were there any setbacks? I think off camera you mentioned you had an injury as well,
Yeah.
but how did you overcome that?
This was 2020. So I hurt my back in the gym training, like herniated like L4, L5. And then that's honestly the worst pain I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
I spent like a week in the hospital after that and had to get like what they call it, a nerve block injection in my spine just to get me up and walking because I couldn't walk.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And that was an exercise that you were doing. You just felt it give
yeah,
way, or?
just felt a click in my lower back.
Yeah.
Went home after that and then just like I couldn't get out of bed for 2 days and ended up having to tried to get to the hospital, tried to get my dad to take me to the hospital. I couldn't even make it to the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to get an ambulance to come get me. So that was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah. So would you say that would have been the hardest part of your whole career? Would have been that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you stay motivated? Sometimes too, we all have those days. I have plenty of them where I just could not be fucked going to the gym. But
Yeah.
how do you stay motivated, mate, when you don't feel like it?
It's I just love it. I love training.
Yeah.
So it's the highlight of my day. Um it's been a routine for so long. So I kind of feel like it's just what I do. It's not really um I don't have to force myself to go there. It's not
Yeah.
something I think about. It's just I'm going to the gym today.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
The only time I don't feel like training is when I'm like overreached or need a deload. And then like I'll even notice like I'll be like, "Oh, I don't want to go to the gym today." And that's when I know I need a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I don't want to go, but like my body needs a break.
Yes. Yeah. And what role does mindset play into your training? Um, as well as being physical and mental as well. But how has that sort of helped with your growth and potential to reaching your max potential in bodybuilding?
Mindset.
Yep.
Just being like ruthless with your goal. Well, that is something that I've just adopted more this year. Like not taking no for an answer. Like this is what I have to do today, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm not going to bed till it's done. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what do you think is a common misconception a lot of people have with bodybuilding?
Um, I suppose that it's all drugs. And yeah, that's just I think another mistake competitors make before going into a competition is that like they think they're bigger than they think they're bigger than they are,
Yeah.
and they have, I suppose, more body fat to lose than they think they do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I read somewhere too, Cam, that male body dysmorphia is expected to take over female body dysmorphia. A lot of dudes think they're not big enough.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you where you look at yourself and think, fuck, I'm not big enough or I'm not lean enough for comp? Like, did you ever experience that?
All the time.
You do?
So,
You're not big enough?
even backstage in
Yeah.
America, I was looking at these guys going, what am I doing
Yeah.
here? So it's just crazy. So, but then you see yourself on stage and like you see the photos and stuff, and you just like look like I can't hang with these guys. But when you're backstage and you just see how big everyone is, and they're all way more than you, and you're just thinking, like, what am I doing here? But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never had the issue of not feeling lean enough. I've always been in like really good condition. Yeah.
Yes. And like leaning up for stage, does that like do you like how do you feel when you're in a calorie deficit? Some people, it hits them quite difficult, like quite hard.
Yeah.
How does it how do you respond to it when you were in a low calorie deficit?
It's different now. Um, those by my early on two preps, they were really hard, but like just trying to manage work and training, like going to work all day and then training at night and then getting ready for the next day, trying to get your steps in, cardio in, like that was challenging.
Yeah.
What I'm doing now, just fucking walk in the park, dude.
Yes.
It is like, so I've already experienced what a hard prep is. So what I have to do now is like, it's easy.
Mm. And what have you learned differently that you used to believe back then when you used to train? Like, what have you learned now that's making a huge difference?
More isn't better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. More does more until it doesn't,
Yeah.
until it starts to work against you.
And does that mean just taking the recovery and
Yeah.
having that day of rest if you need it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like going harder on training doesn't always give a better result. Dieting harder doesn't always give a better result. Like just doing too much can start to work against you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is the number one thing that has helped you in life, specifically because I think bodybuilding is very much a very good outlet, but what has bodybuilding taught you to overcome obstacles and setbacks, especially in life?
Um, just to be persistent. Like just don't give up. Be persistent. No, like do something that's fulfilling. I'm very, very big on like, I think a lot of people need something in their life other than what's chosen for them, because everyone has to work. Like you have to make money. That's not an option, right? But like, I think you need something that's completely separate to what you have to do. It's something you're choosing for yourself. I really think that's a huge thing.
Yeah, a lot of young men right now too, Cam, are struggling. Um, we've got a bit of a loneliness epidemic
Yeah.
as well. Young men are really struggling, and I think it's important that young men, find a hobby or something that they can pursue to further better themselves. But what do you think young men are missing today?
Um, I think the younger generation don't have a lot of grit to them. I think they're willing to give up a lot easier, or they want everything handed to them. Um, I really think that's what's missing in the younger generation. So
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. I think because you know we were you 87?
88.
88,
Yeah.
88. Yeah. So we were born in the 80s.
Yeah.
Grew up in the 90s. So we
Yeah.
kind of got to see everything
Yeah.
firsthand. We saw the transition from social media,
Mm.
you know, from DVDs to you know, from VHS and
Hmm.
DVDs. We saw it all. Yeah. So do you think too that young people, obviously, you mentioned they needed a little bit more grit as well, but do you think also like parenting comes into play as well?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
parenting, like it's important obviously to get, you know, your kids involved in sports, but what can parents do, mate? Because you're a parent.
Um, I think they can probably be a lot more strict on their kids. I think there's a lot, like, not obviously not physical violence,
No.
but like I think I was scared of my parents growing up, like, and I think that you should be.
And you turned out all
Like,
right, mate. Yeah.
I think you should be like scared to like not do anything wrong or not to like, you should have that parent figure that you need to like abide by. I think parents are too soft on their kids. Like I have a very good relationship with my son. We're like best friends, but he knows when it like don't fuck around now.
Yeah.
Now's the time to listen.
Yeah. And fathers are extremely important in the home. Um, I saw this video on TikTok, Cam. Um, he it was a guy, it was an entrepreneur. He was talking about a childhood experience that he had. He called his mum a bitch, and his dad overheard it. Anyways, he took him. I think he was saying in the video he was 16 or something, and his dad took him to a bar, and he says, "You're a man now." And then he goes to his dad, "No, I'm only 16. No, no, you're a man now. You call your mum a bitch. You can have a beer with me." And in that moment, he said, "No, I'm not." And then he cracked him right in the chin, fell back. And then he just gives him this fatherly hug. And he says, "I'm so sorry I did that, but I had to do that. If you ever call your mum a bitch, I'm just going to keep hitting you over and over again. I need you to apologize to your mum and we'll go get pizza." And in that moment, a lot of people obviously would look at that video and think, you know, who's right and who's wrong? Was it, you know, the right thing for the father to hit his son? But it's a very kind of light bulb moment because, you know, it's teaching obviously his son respect as well. But see, my dad used to smack me, mate, like,
Yeah.
you know, disciplining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think obviously, you know, parents need to sort of discipline their kids a bit more?
Yeah. I think it's very frowned upon these days.
It is.
Yeah. I think there's a fine line to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
every kid needs discipline.
100%. Yeah. And it's pretty scary too, Cam. Like if you read the stats, if the father is in a home, and then if a child is raised in a single parent home, the outcomes that you have from that isn't good. They're more likely to be incarcerated in jail. They're more likely to be, you know, involved with drugs, higher likelihood of having mental health disorders, um, more likely to be involved in gang-related violence, and the list goes on. And I think the gym can also be a therapy for these young men. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, that's quite interesting because like I kind of had some like my first introduction to training was with my friend, but then be- when it really started becoming more of a lifestyle for me and like a daily thing for me was when I was actually trying to get through some like mental health issues and some anxiety issues and um I suppose the older I get now, like things that have happened in my past or the way I was, it all makes sense now, like how I used to be, like when I can look at it from an outside perspective. And so yeah, I was dealing with some like anxiety issues, and like I was talking to a psychologist, and they're like, hey, like what things make you feel good, and like it was training. Training made me feel really good. So like, well, why don't you just make that a routine for yourself? Like start doing more positive things, and like not going out drinking too much and getting in like in that scene. And
Yeah.
really,
What would make you anxious?
um, I think just me wanting to fit in with like 'cause I grew up never really fitting in like at school. and like just in other groups, like I would have groups of friends, but I never really felt like I was like fit in. So and it's kind of funny now, like like I don't want to fit in right now. Like I don't want to. Like the older I get, it's like I don't want to be the same as everyone else. So, but like I just didn't understand it back then that I was different. So
Yeah.
so
And you've got some mates that you train with as well, and it's important to have a bit of a brotherhood in life. But for you, mate, like, I mean, how important is that for you? Obviously, to have some time, just training with mates and things
yeah
like that, because I think this is what's missing with a lot of young men. I've spoken about this on countless podcasts that the number of reported friends a man would report having back in the early 90s was 6.
yeah
Now that number's 0.
yeah
And people that have close connections with friends and family, it's scientifically proven they actually live longer.
yeah
It's more than going to the gym. It's more than quitting drinking and smoking. Um, it's the number of close friends that you have contributes to a healthier and longer life.
yeah. I can definitely get on board with that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you maintain that? How do you maintain?
Well, I kind of the deeper I've gotten into bodybuilding, I suppose the less friends I've had. Like, 'cause you lose a lot of friends when your direction in life changes. People don't understand that and bodybuilding is very restricted to the average person
Yeah.
to what you can do. Um, so yeah, I did lose a lot of friends then. I still talk to them, still know them, but we're not as close, you know. But now I've got like a bunch of other friends who are like have the same mindset, the same goal, and that just help. Like you just uplift each other because you feed off each other, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
different type of friendships now. Yeah.
Yes. Dorian Yates, 6-time Mr. Olympia. I love Dorian Yates. You remember Dorian
Oh
Yates,
yeah,
don't you?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, he reportedly slipped into some depression once his career had finished because, yeah, he lost touch with some of his friends. I think he was going through a divorce too, but he didn't have any like an identity or purpose. But, how has bodybuilding helped you in a sense of identity and purpose?
Um, it's giving me more of a purpose. I suppose, well, more of a drive to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And like, since I'm doing online coaching now, and like I actually get more satisfaction out of that, like out of the job now than I ever have before in my life.
Yeah.
So before I would have done like 15 years, I was an electrician, and that just becomes like you just go to work, and then like
Yeah.
it's just to me it's just electricity.
Yeah.
There's no satisfaction in doing that job for me.
Yep.
So now I get to like really help people change their lives, and like just and they're grateful as well, and it just makes me feel like I've just got way more of a purpose. Like I'm helping people.
Yeah.
So
A lot of young kids too, they feel like they lack purpose.
yeah,
They feel um, disconnected from reality. They don't know what they want to do with their lives.
yeah.
But what would your advice be to a young person that's struggling to figure out their identity and figuring out what their purpose is in life? Should they pursue a hobby or?
I think they should definitely pursue a hobby and try and make money off something you're passionate about. Yeah, don't just. I couldn't think of anything worse than just going to a 9 to 5 job that you don't care about and you're just trying to collect a paycheck. Like that would be. I couldn't. I'd want to blow my brains out. There's
Yeah,
no way I'd be able to go back to that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Like people live a very boring,
yeah.
mundane kind of life.
And I think that's why a lot of people have like alcohol addictions and they're overweight is because they don't have any hobbies. They The only thing that's giving them any type of feeling is alcohol and food. That's like kind of what I gather. I don't know.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, yeah. Like you wake up, you sit down, have breakfast, you get in your car, you're sitting down, you
mm,
get to your job, you're sitting down. We're
yeah,
constantly sitting. We're not
yeah,
working or,
yeah,
walking. And, no wonder people are having
mm,
orthopedic problems and hip problems and
yeah.
things like that.
And I've been in that trading environment too, and all they talk about is getting on the piss on a Friday night and getting the 3 pack of toys on the way through the drive through on the way home. Like it's just that's not me.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think is lacking in the world today? You know, with regards to obviously we mentioned disciplining and sugarcoating to kids, but what do you think is also contributing to society? As in, there's a bit of a sickness. You know, people are getting sicker, they're getting fatter. You know, Australia obviously I think can't remember stats, but it's quite high. It's around 60 to 70% of the population are obese.
Yeah.
But what do you think is lacking? Is it just the way that we live our lives? You know,
Yeah,
what do you think it
100%,
is?
yeah.
Yeah, is that what you
I
think
think
it
it's the
is?
way everything's set up on your phone now. Like you're just on your phone all the time. I think people are just, I'd say they're less active than they've ever been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what do you think about kids too, mate? Like with what they're, you know, because they implemented a law to pass just recently that to ban social media from under the age of 16.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
You're about that
Yeah,
too?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you imagine if we were brought up in this generation?
yeah.
You know, how we would have been like,
I was so oblivious to everything when I was a kid.
yeah.
Like, all I wanted to do was just go to the skate park and just have fun, you know?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't imagine growing up worrying about like having to post stuff and seeing how many likes you have and all. But like that would, I don't think any child needs that.
No, no. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like I can remember just growing up, like mum used to call us in when the street lights started to come on.
Yeah,
You'd be the same
yeah,
with you too,
yeah,
mate. Yeah.
yeah,
You'd be out skateboarding and yeah, your mum would call you in and now parents are trying to get them off the tablet to go outside and
yeah.
play.
Go do something.
Go fucking do something. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you impress upon discipline and good work ethic, working hard, you know, perseverance? Do you talk about that to your son?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. How does he take that on board?
yeah. He understands, and I think a big thing is he can see how disciplined I am. Like so, I think even to just the way I live my life, he'll be getting more out of that than even just me having a conversation with him. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And what's something
And
you,
me like he can like see there's a goal there, and my dad's achieving it.
yeah,
Like my dad set a goal, and he's going after it. I think that's way more valuable than any conversation you can have.
yeah, it's kind of like, monkey see, monkey do, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like
yeah,
if you're, if you're a good role model, you're working out, kids will see that, won't they?
yeah,
They'll see that. And obviously it does. It starts with the parents as well.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What's something that you left behind in your childhood? You know, you mentioned that you had a little bit of anxiety and things like that, but how has that sort of cultivated you to becoming the man you are today?
Um, it's really given me the ability to, like, I suppose, in any situation, just not overanalyze
Yeah,
and give myself time to think about it before I react, and really even look at some situations, like trying to divorce myself from a situation and look at it from an outside perspective, and like remove your feelings and stuff and actually look at what could be like could be going on.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Do you think also that I mean, there's no right or wrong answer on how we live our lives, but society is going about it wrong, and and this is why the ice bath trend is so popular now. Like I call it voluntary adversity. It's putting yourself in uncomfortable positions that enables you to overcome setbacks and obstacles. It's like hardening of the brain. Like
Yeah,
it builds that mental toughness.
yeah,
And you know, you mentioned too, kids are sort of lacking with that today. Do you agree with that? Like
yeah, I
that
do.
people are lacking that mental toughness?
Yeah, I can definitely see the relation between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Because I can imagine too, like with bodybuilding as well. Like you've probably done some horrendous workouts where you feel like throwing up. You
yeah.
felt like giving up.
I've sat in my car for like in half an hour before a leg session,
Yeah.
like just with anxiety because I just like just scared to go and do the workout. But
Yep.
it's not like it's not, it's going to happen regardless. But you just kind of just have to work your way into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the memorable workouts that you've done? Like, have you had some workouts where you've actually thrown up?
No throwing up, but
No.
Yeah, there's been some leg sessions where you just rattled for the whole day.
Yeah.
Like even most of the time now, like I can't. I'll try and do all my work and my check-ins before I go to the gym to train legs, because after that, like I just find myself just in a state. I
Yeah.
just like I need to just go home and like I can't concentrate on anything. I just need like I'm in a really like sympathetic driven state. So I need to give myself some time to wind down. Otherwise, I'm sitting at a computer and my fucking brain's not working properly.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. What's your typical day look like? Are you a big sort of morning person? You get up early, like some people do the ice bath, they meditate. What
No,
sort of a
I'm quite the opposite. I've never been a morning person.
no.
So like I'm up 7:30, 8 o'clock. But I'll stay up late.
Mm.
But I'll go to bed like maybe 11 o'clock.
Yes.
11 to 12. So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, no, typical day now looks like we'll wake up in the morning. I'll get my son's stuff ready for school. I'll take him to school. I'll come home, do a little bit of work, go train, and just have enough time to go and pick him up when he's finished school. Like the day goes like that.
Yeah.
So and then I'll do the rest of my work in the afternoon.
Yeah. And is it always the same time that you train normally?
Yeah, well, like cause I have my son 1 week on, 1 week off, so it needs to be in those school hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's around like 11:30, 12 o'clock,
Yeah.
and that'll take me till like 2. He finishes school at 2:30. I'll drive and pick him up.
Yeah. And you're going to try and get him to the gym down the track
Um,
if he wants to?
if he wants to,
Yep.
it's definitely not something I'd force on him.
Mm.
I'd probably be quite happy if he doesn't and
Yeah.
does like a real sport.
Yeah. What do you think you'd like to get him into?
No, he's really into basketball.
Nice.
So yeah,
Yeah. Is he going to be quite tall, do you think, when he grows up?
he'll be taller than I am. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 5'5".
Okay. Yeah.
And his mother was like I think 5'9".
Right.
So yeah, he'll be taller than his mum.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great, mate. I think it's good. I mean, get kids involved in anything too.
Yeah.
It's super important as well. Yeah. But I think too, like with kids, they learn through play, they learn through practicality. Because I think with current school system, they don't teach them entrepreneurial you know, skills, how to run a business.
Yeah.
Will these be things that you'll be teaching your son as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think even too, just touched on the school thing. Like, I think they need to be teaching more practical stuff that you're going to use
Yeah.
in life, like how to structure a business, or how to even budget your own money,
Oh,
like or like even what protein, carbs, and fat is, like what's in food.
yeah.
Kids don't even like I'm a victim of that too. I had no idea about food until I like started learning from my coach. But like I think like practical things, like what you're even putting in your mouth, how does that affect your body?
Mm.
Like what is that gonna do for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I 100% think that we are a sleep deprived society right now, and sleep would obviously be paramount for you.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with sleep, but what are some of the tips that you have learned over the years with sleep? Because that's when it all happens. That's when muscle grows.
Yeah.
That's when fat loss, occurs as well. But what are some of the tips that you recommend with good hygiene for sleep?
It's a good routine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just simple stuff like if you're affected by caffeine, keep that away from, like, don't have any caffeine in the afternoon. That's a big thing for me. I don't have any caffeine after like 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to train after 12 o'clock, it's a non-stim.
Yes.
Yeah, just good routine and pay attention to your sleep. Like pay attention to why you're not sleeping. If you're not sleeping, like think about what you're doing during your day. And I'll notice a direct correlation between me being overtrained and not being able to sleep properly.
Isn't that interesting? So when you feel like you've overtrained, how does that impact your sleep? Like just restless? You can't
toss and turn all night. I'll be able to get to sleep, but it'll be just like it'll be broken all night. I'll be up every hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just toss and turn.
Yeah. And do you take like any supplements, like a vitamin D? I mean, obviously you get a bit of sunshine, but like do you take magnesium, high dosage of zinc?
Yeah, I'm taking zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, K2, CoQ10, yeah, all the usual suspects.
Yeah, yeah. So if someone is looking to become healthy, obviously getting them into the gym as well. But do you also recommend blood work? Do you recommend that they should go get their bloods done to see if
Yeah,
there's any
yeah,
nutritional deficiencies?
yeah, yeah. Especially if they're taking enhancements as well.
Yeah, yeah. Do you get your bloods done
Yeah,
regularly?
yeah. That's something my coach, well, me and my coach are, yeah, on top of.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
every like 3 months,
yeah,
minimum. Yeah.
yeah,
Unless something crops up and you want to just check it out, we'll just check it out on the spot. But like
yeah.
usually every 3 months.
Yeah, yeah. And regardless of, people if they compete naturally or not, it's still fucking hard work. It's a lot of work too. Yeah. Are you open to talk about that? Are you open to talk about, cycling and, because,
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
yeah, you're happy to talk about
yeah.
that? So how do you sort of cycle it? Do you go 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off? Like how do you sort of,
I've kind of found recent, like for me, like any more than 12 weeks at a time is kind of, you can do more, but are you getting more? Maybe not. And this is just for me. So I think a 12-week cycle is probably where I sit
yeah,
for, like, I can get the most productivity out of that before you start to run into like digestion issues, being overtrained, just um just like your blood pressure might start increasing, or like having to manage all that sort of stuff. So
yeah.
yeah,
And it used to be a little bit taboo, didn't it? Like people didn't really like to talk about it, and
yeah,
you know, uh, and regardless too, like each to their own. But I have such admiration and respect for bodybuilders because you still got to put in the work in the gym.
yeah,
There's a science to it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, like, and the enhancement side of it, I fucking hate it.
yeah,
Like, but it's just, it is what it is. The
yeah,
one that's just, I've been to a, like a natural bodybuilding show, and no offense, but like, and I've been to an IFBB like enhanced bodybuilding show, and I don't want to do the natural.
yeah.
You just look at it and it's like, nah.
The reality is
Yeah,
people want to see that.
yeah,
I don't care
yeah,
who you are. People like to see
yeah,
huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you hear that they're trying to bring out the Olympics, but it's
Enhanced. Yeah,
enhanced Olympics? Did you hear about that?
yeah, yeah.
What do you think of
I
that?
think it'd be wild. Yeah,
I think it'd be insane,
yeah.
like to see the times and like imagine Usain Bolt on the gear. Like imagine how fast he could have run
Yeah. Well, who
if
says he wasn't, right?
true, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There was a documentary, I can't remember. I think it was called Icarus. I don't know if you saw that one. It was on Netflix a while
But I
back.
haven't seen.
Yeah, and it also was talking in speculation with regards to doping in swimming. I think it was the Germans. They were doping, and obviously their times were just insane.
Yeah,
But see, the thing is, mate, people like to see that.
yeah,
They like to see the fast
yeah.
times. They like to see the huge guy up on stage in the Mr. Olympia. Yeah. Do you think now it's a little bit more accepting? People are just, okay, it is what it is. We'll keep drug competition here, natural over here. It's more accepting now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is more accepting in society as well. But that's also like, it's not the greatest thing either.
Okay.
It's more accepted, but it also becomes more mainstream,
Yeah.
and like it becomes more, I suppose, normal, I guess.
Yeah.
And then that just like leads to recklessness,
Yeah.
or like misunderstanding of what's like appropriate and
Yeah.
what's safe, what isn't safe, or safer. I mean,
Yeah, I was talking to a professional powerlifter on my podcast, and I think if I remember, we were talking a little bit about it. And she gets her bloods done regularly. She checks her blood pressure and things like that. But is there a safe way to go about it? Because I'm sure there's a certain age where it's acceptable. You can go on it because I've seen even young kids, even as early as 16, 17
yeah,
get on it, and I'm sure that would have some pretty deleterious effects.
yeah.
What have you learnt
I'm
about?
not on board with that, really.
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
I
no.
think, yeah, I think you should like wait until you early to mid 20s,
Yep.
as a minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I only started doing it when I was like 31 or
Wow.
30, and transitioning to 31
Yeah.
for
And
my first and it was for competition. It wasn't
yes.
for just to look cool in the gym.
Yeah. And does it have to be like ongoing? Like, do you have to take it all the time or, you know?
So yeah, you'll have your phases where everything's like brought down to like a normal hormonal level.
Yeah.
So and then when you're like entering a competition, that'll ramp up over the weeks.
Yeah.
Same with an off-season setting.
Yeah.
You won't just start full bore out the gate. You'll
Yes.
kind of ramp it up slowly.
And do you use it or lose it? Like if you don't take it, if you just, taper off and then you just, try and get back to baseline, will you still maintain that amount of muscle or
Yeah, you're not going to lose muscle like tissue,
no?
but you'll lose that like volumization.
That yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
nitrogen retention.
Yeah, because I saw one of my favorite bodybuilders, Kevin Levrone. Remember Kev?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and he did a Mr. Olympia show a few years ago. But I remember back in the 90s, he was so much bigger. But he had a bit of period when he went a bit natural,
yeah,
and he wasn't on it.
yeah.
But then he put on some more size, and he got to that stage ready. But he did not look like how he did, back in the 90s. Like the
Yeah.
comparison is so different as well.
Well, I think it also too depends on what you're doing in that time as well.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
obviously, if you leave it for years, then you might get some muscle loss. But
yeah.
I think like for a 3 month period or something like that, you're not going to lose any tissue.
Yeah. And what about some of these bodybuilders that have tragically died from heart attacks? Because I think it's important, obviously, to have, proper medical advice and, getting your bloods done. But what would you encourage people to do if they are going down the professional route to become an IFBB Pro bodybuilder? What do they need to do to stay safe?
Be smart with your, I suppose, your enhancement design.
Yeah.
So there's ways you can do it where you can keep your blood pressure low. You can have a good resting heart rate, and like you don't need to take drugs to combat the drugs that you're taking. That's the wrong,
Yeah.
the wrong setup.
Yeah. And how do you feel like, because I have a mate of mine, his testosterone levels were clinically low.
Yep.
And he had to be medically prescribed it. But it's a little bit difficult in Australia to get it medically, prescribed
Yeah.
unless you have super low testosterone.
Yeah.
It baffles me. Why can a 6-year-old kid get a sex change
Yeah.
and yet a 50-year-old man who's suicidal and depressed,
Yeah.
having a difficult time can't get on some sort of testosterone
Yeah.
replacement?
Yeah.
But how do you?
It's like a female going through menopause.
Yeah.
That's like accepted, but it's not really accepted for a man.
Yeah. 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 And, what is the feeling like, like, do you wake up feeling just more energy? Do you,
When you're like on like, I suppose, a lower dose, and I suppose it depends on what you're doing with your training and your food as well. But I find for me when I'm like on a cruise, if you want to call it, I feel fantastic.
Yeah.
When my food's not as high, my enhancements aren't as high, I feel fantastic. I think when you start to pushing the food volumes higher, and the loads higher with the enhancements, that's when you start to you just feel more fatigued and exhausted.
yeah.
That's the feeling that I get anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm on like a TRT level,
Yeah.
I feel fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you ever hear about Ben Johnson in the 1988 Olympics who broke, he was obviously on performance enhancement, but it was the fastest anyone's ever ran, I think in 9.79 seconds he ran and won the gold medal. But then later on he got drug tested and they found that he'd been using.
Yeah.
So they stripped him of his gold medal. But did you ever see that? He ran the fastest time in history back then.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't see it, but I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Or was that Carl Lewis?
He competed. He competed against. Yeah, he competed against Carl Lewis. Yeah, but he smashed him.
Yeah.
But yeah, his time was 9.79 seconds. And back in 1988, that was unheard of. It was the fastest time anyone's ever run 100 meters that quick. But little did people know there was a dirty secret. He'd been on some performance enhancement drugs.
Drugs work.
Yeah, yeah.
Drugs do things.
Yeah. Do you think too that they should implement, okay, you've got athletes that are on it, athletes that are not. Because look at Lance Armstrong, he got got done for doping
Yeah.
a few years ago.
Mm.
But do you think there should be some sort of work involvement where that they can categorize the two? You know, do you think in all sports?
I, I I do think it would be cool.
Yeah.
But like from a reality perspective, I don't think it's feasible
No.
because like even let's take the IFBB for instance, they're not condoning it. They're just not testing it.
Mm.
They're just like, look, we don't test.
Yes.
You guys do whatever you want to do. Like, whereas I think if they were to like actually call it an enhanced federation, that's taking ownership, right? That's taking ownership of the athlete's actions,
Yes.
and then there can be some liability there. So it's kind of like then you're not promoting, but you're like, I suppose you're taking ownership of them.
Yeah.
So I don't think it will.
No.
I don't think it'll ever be a real thing.
Yeah.
That's just my perspective.
Yeah. And is their hopes to
It kind of leaves the door open for, I suppose, lawsuits and
That's true.
like when you're
That's true. Yeah. And is there hopes of making the Olympia stage?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
How would you go about that? What do you need to do to get on the Olympia stage?
Well, the way the setup is now, there used to be a point system where you could gather points as like over the shows you do with your placings, but now it's direct win. So you have to win a show to get to Olympia. So,
What show do you have to win?
any professional
show. Yeah. Yep. And what's the best you've placed in a major comp?
It was fourth last year.
I've
only done 2 pro shows.
But that was Tampa, wasn't it?
That was Tampa.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel this time round, you know, leading into your next comp? How do you feel? Do you feel little bit more tighter, conditioned?
I feel a lot bigger
than
I was last year, which is obviously the goal, part of the bodybuilding. I feel more complete. Whereas I think last year I was a little bit more lower body dominant. I still am, but not as much. And yeah, like the immediate goal for this year is to be in those top 1 to 3 places.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does it mean to you to be, you know, in a professional field like this, to be, you know, considered like in the top percentile of athletes? Like, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot, man.
Yeah.
It's actually like, it's sometimes I actually like sit back and think like what I'm doing is like, to me, it's very special, and it's even because I spoke before about having like winning the pro card wasn't even the goal. So like I've already like well outside of the realms of anything that I ever expected to happen with bodybuilding. So like anything that happens from here is obviously just a win. But yeah, because I was just that kid that's like, that's just too big for me.
Yeah.
That goal that goal doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
Like that's just, don't even have that as a goal because that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So, like I've already far exceeded any expectations.
Yeah. So you're setting sights on Tampa again, and
Yeah.
the goal is to get top 3.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Tampa is the first weekend of August, and then Texas is the weekend after that, and then Atlanta the weekend after that. So
And
3 in a row.
All same federation?
Yeah.
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 How do you feel about competing back to back with 3 shows? I was talking to Chesbra on the podcast a couple of days ago, actually, and you know, he competed 3 shows back to back.
Yeah.
But how do you feel doing 3 shows, mate? You okay?
Love it. Yeah.
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 Yeah. You don't feel drained or depleted or no?
No, because the way we've set up our diet, right, is you should be like lean, like ready to go by 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
So you kind of eating in like a maintenance phase in those last few weeks. So like, and I just think competing 3 weekends in a row, you don't really have enough time to start really feeling exhausted and tired. And like, you're kind of running off adrenaline. You'll like be like peaking for the first show, like you're eating up for that. So you're getting some good food, building excitement. Then you have this show day, it's just like excitement and adrenaline. And then you kind of run off that for a few days after that. You'll have a few more low days to tidy up, and then you're peaking again for the next one.
Yes.
So like, and you're traveling and you're in different cities, and I don't think you have time to even start feeling shitty again. That's why I like the back-to-back shows. Whereas I've done shows before where it's like you do the first one and then you got 3 weeks until the next one. And you kind of like start fading a little bit. You start feeling really shitty again in between
Yeah.
the 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And what have
I
you,
like the week. I like the back-to-back shows.
yeah, yeah, because you love it, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What have you learnt about your body? So, with regards to posing, and you can see where you need to work on. But the posing obviously is a different thing too, because that's a skill itself, to really try and bring those lats out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Run me
Yeah.
through the poses. So you've got front double bicep, then you've got
Front lat spread.
front lat spread. Yep.
Yep. Then you got your like side chest, side tricep, rear double bicep, rear lat spread, ab and thigh, and your most muscular.
Most muscular,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And, because there's a bit of an art to it. There's a technique to try and really, get the muscles to
Yeah.
expand and,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think most poses you're trying to create an X frame.
right.
Yeah. So you're just trying to create that shape. So broad up the top, small waist, flaring quads.
Yeah,
And like if you just think that for most poses, then you'll be right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you feel when you're flexing up on stage? Like, you must, like, start to shake a little bit and,
Yeah.
how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel good. Like I felt confident in what I was doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, but you get
Like cramps
you get
and
worked on stage. So you
yeah.
don't get any cramping and stuff like
No.
that. But yeah, you get worked. So
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
100%.
exhilarating. So,
Yeah, it's a different experience, hey?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you still get nervous? Obviously, being in a professional field like this, do you still get nervous stepping up on stage?
I was nervous, but not to the point where it was like overwhelming. I kind of I made a big point in America last year, like at the Tampa in Texas show, to really just slow myself down before going on stage
Yeah.
and just take in what I was actually doing
Mm.
and like be appreciative of what I'm about to do, what I'm about to experience, just the whole thing. Like I really made a point of just being present for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so your current coach, what's he got you doing this time around? Anything different or?
No, I think we've pretty well, like, because I've had him for all my competitions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been with him for like 6 years now. And pretty well, he's got me figured out. He probably knows me, but he knows my body better than I know myself. So,
Yeah.
we're not doing anything different than that we've always done.
Yeah.
Just go hard at the start of the contest prep, get as much fat off as you can while there's the least amount of chance of muscle loss, and then kind of slow things down, introduce more refeeds towards the back end.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that too, like refeeds, reverse dieting, because when you do drastically, well, not drastically, but slowly drop your calories,
Yep.
you don't want to quickly just bounce straight back into maintenance. You got to slowly, gradually increase calories back up, don't you?
Yeah. So what we'll do is like those last 10 weeks of the diet will just be like toggling between low days and high days. You'll do a stint of maybe like 5-6 low days and then refuel, refresh the body, then dig back in again. And then coming out of the show, it's very challenging.
Mm.
It's almost harder. Well, not in my experience, it's harder than actually doing the contest prep because you don't have that goal right in front of you. So
After you've finished,
yeah,
that's the hardest part.
Show is horrible, man.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that just a mentally you feel like that there's,
To try and maintain good condition without just because you can go crazy with like eating. You're like a bottomless pit. You can just keep eating and eating uncontrollably. So yeah, it's a really tough task.
yeah,
So,
yeah. How do you deal with that?
just experience now.
Yeah.
And like as I said before, like
Hmm.
you become more goal orientated rather than food focused.
Yep.
Yeah. So staying leaner post show is going to benefit you in your next off season. So because the quicker the fatter you get, you're just going to run into more problems in your off season.
Yeah. What's the hardest part about dieting, do you think?
The hardest part is it's not really hard, to be fair.
Not for you, no.
It's not really that hard anymore.
Yeah.
Like before was I would say trying to go to work, trying to function like in doing a physical job. That was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, some people get like, a bit snappy, a bit short, rude, abrupt,
Yeah.
because obviously when you're carb depleted or just you're in a calorie deficit, it can affect your mood. Cognitively, you feel okay, but you might be a little bit moody or irritable.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen to you
Yeah, for
during
sure.
a comp?
I'm maybe a little bit more irritable, but I'm not snappy. I'm not rude. I'm not like none of that. I'll just go quiet.
Mm,
I'll just be like setting my routine. Maybe I'll probably talk a lot less. Things will irritate me a bit, but I'll never like be a prick or anything or like, go off at anyone. But yeah, I'll just go into a bit of a shell.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what have you done differently with your training now? Because I think I can imagine this is probably the biggest you've ever been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What have you done differently this time?
Nothing. Just
No,
more locked in on my like quality of sessions,
hmm
quality of exercises, and just progressive overload.
yes.
And this whole off season, I've done the same split since like a whole year now.
Mm,
Pretty nearly a whole year I've done the same split.
yeah.
So it's been back and shoulders Monday, chest and arms Tuesday, legs Wednesday, rest Thursday, and then back and shoulders Friday, chest and arms Saturday, rest Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Upper body 4 times a week and lower once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you implement some training techniques like supersets, drop sets, post exhaustion, pre exhaustion, giant sets.
No, we pretty much just run on like some exercises will be like more strength based, so lower rep range, top set back off style.
Yeah.
And then the rest is just pretty much straight sets, just trying to progressively overload over the weeks. And then
Yeah.
as you're starting to overreach or starting for it to be hard to progress your lifts, we'll just might add like a rest pause set onto the end of like your last exercise for chest.
Yeah.
Because if you start banging that on at your first exercise, then you'll kill your the
Yeah.
rest of your session. So
Yeah.
just being smart with where you add the intensive ones.
Yes, yeah. Have you ever read? I mean, because I remember Tom Platz, he used to do zero cardio. He said he didn't believe in cardio, but he, doing 25 reps heavy breathing squats
Yeah,
will gas your tank.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
do you implement any of the pros' guidelines on what they used to do, or?
No, not typically what any other pros recommended from the past, but what I do, I like to keep some cardio in,
Yeah,
and that'll bleed over into your performance in your top sets when you're like being able to recover in between sets and even be able to like go longer in your heavy
yeah.
sets. Yeah.
And what about strength? Do you ever periodize your workouts where you'll do super heavy, even like powerlifting? Because I mean, look at Ronnie Coleman. He, leading up to I think it was the 2003 Mr. Olympia, he squatted over 800 pounds for 2 or 3 reps.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, do you ever cycle training just to try and get a bit stronger?
Never.
Nothing like that.
No. I'm
No.
looking to get strong in bodybuilding rep range.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like doing that, it's not going to serve much purpose for me personally.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So usually,
I'll never go below 8 reps.
okay. Yeah. Not even 6. You won't ever
No,
go to 6 reps.
no,
No.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, interesting. Yeah, because he was phenomenal. I remember he was doing like 200-pound dumbbells for 6 to 8 reps,
Oh man, I think it was more than that.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and then he just like flings them off against the other.
Incredibly strong. I heard him on Rogan. Rogan asked him, it's a good podcast. I don't know if you've seen it. He was on Joe Rogan a few years ago, and Joe Rogan asked, do you have any regrets? Because he's obviously incurred a lot of these debilitating injuries. Like, he has to walk around in crutches. He's had like major surgery on his spine and hips and everything. He said the only regret was he could have gone heavier.
Yeah, like he could have got more reps on that.
Yeah.
What was it, 800 pound squat?
Yeah, yeah, he could have gone heavier. Yeah. Regret's an interesting thing, isn't it? I heard Chris Williamson say we have to choose our regrets. So you can regret many things. You can regret obviously wasting money on certain purchases or items. You can regret you should have gone to that event.
Yep.
Or you regret, participating in whatever it is. You have to choose your regrets, but do you ever regret anything?
Um, I regret wasting time trying to fit in.
Oh,
Yep.
Like fitting in,
like in social groups or
right.
like trying to fit in, like, hey, I should be doing this, or just stuff like that.
Yeah. I think, you know, a lot of people would be in the same boat as you too, Cam. Like people obviously want to fit in, but at the end of the day, people are going to like you. They're not going to like you. You can't control how other people, you know, react or what they think of you. And I think you stay in your own lane, be a good person. What would your advice be to just people that are sort of in a position where they feel like a bit of an outcast? What would your advice be to them?
But that's completely okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be true to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last and final thoughts, mate. Upcoming shows, Tampa, and then will you have a bit of a break after that, or?
Well, that depends on if I win.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like if I don't win any shows, it'll be like same as this year.
What happens if you do win? So what happens
If I do win one of these shows, I'll be competing in Olympia, and
It's exciting.
yeah, I think it's September, October, so
Yeah.
pretty much no time to waste.
Nah.
It'll be but
because we've had a couple of Aussies in the Olympia stage, like we've had Lee Priest.
Yeah.
There was one just recently.
Aaron Pilates was in
Aaron Pilates, that's it.
2019. Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Pilates, yeah. Basis
and Tracy, Tracy Garland.
Okay. Oh, Tracy.
Yeah. Last year. So
Yeah.
incredible.
It's nice to see some Aussies represent too.
Yeah, and there's a big there's a ton of Aussies going over to America this year competing in shows. So
yeah,
it's a very exciting year for Australian bodybuilding.
Yeah. I had Hida Tardie Yamagishi on the podcast. So he was the first Japanese IFBB Pro bodybuilder. But he's got a show coming up in Japan, but he's sort of opened up his own organization, and you know, would there be opportunity to maybe branch out with other federations and things like that?
I wouldn't do any other federation other than IFBB. But I'm definitely open to doing international shows in any countries.
Yeah.
I think I've done, this year will be my second American circuit.
Yeah.
So I think the following year after that, might look to go do some European shows.
Yeah.
And my coach lives in Europe, so.
Oh yeah.
So I might even go over there. And
who's your coach?
Dean McKillop.
Dean McKillop. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I am familiar with him. Yeah. He's been in the game for a long time, eh? Yeah. Fantastic, mate. No, awesome, Cam. Always good, mate. Thank you very much for jumping on. But yeah, excited to see how you go with this upcoming show. But yeah, no, 100%. I'll be watching and making sure that, you know, the goal is obviously to see you up on the Olympia stage. Yeah, 100%, man.
Awesome.
Thanks, Cam.
I appreciate it, man.
Awesome, mate.
Thank you, man.